they were writing down something that was a word spoken in advance. We are not looking at a Moses, a Jesus, a children of Israel yesterday. We are that real children of Israel. And we are living in the time of the real Moses and Jesus. All praise is due to Allah. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on to say that lost and found people mentioned so much by Jesus in Revelations, where it is shown that the messenger becomes a lamb. In Revelations, the symbolic lamb is in the midst of four symbolic beasts. All of the scholars and scientists of the white race know this is not referring to Muhammad of 1400 years ago. The anger of the beast refers to a dragon against the messenger, who is referred to as a lamb or as a woman pregnant with a child. This is one of the clearest prophecies of the opposition against him in the last days and the type of people to whom the revelator refuses to give credit for being not human beings but beasts who desire to destroy the woman and her child. You ready for this? This only means the messenger and his followers. Did y'all hear me? Now, I don't know about you, but we've had many people that have come up and have diagnosed the condition of the black man and woman in North America and the condition of the poor and the oppressed all over the world. And out of their diagnosis, they have prescribed for you and me ideologies, guidance, teaching, different things that we should do. They've given us programs, and they've given us a position. But the position that they have given us, born out of their program, is a status of a second-class citizen, which proves that their diagnosis either wasn't right or their medicine they prescribed wasn't right to solve the problem. Or it could be D, all of the above. What we are saying, brothers and sisters, is if the position of you and me has only landed us into a status where we have become the richest slaves that ever lived. Did you hear me? Flat screen TV, 30-inch rim driving, Coogee sweater wearing, alligator shoe on our foot, diamonds in our watch, diamonds in our necklace, diamonds in our ears, but no jewels in our hair. We are the richest slaves that ever lived. All praise is due to Allah. Then it would make sense. All praise is due to Allah. It would make sense that maybe we need to find a new program that will give us a new position. And I present to you humbly that that program and position comes out of the mind of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and is exemplified on the proper and best way to follow that program by a man walking among us today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Take it or let it alone. All praise is due to Allah. So when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says that in Revelations, the symbolic lamb represents only the messenger and his followers of Islam, I submit that he knows what he's talking about. Why? Because the meaning of communication is the response that it elicits. If someone tells us that this will produce a certain result and we try it out and it doesn't produce that result, then it makes sense for us to abandon that advice. Well, what about those who have accepted the advice of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? Have they not been able to make word flesh everything that he spoke when we follow it to the letter? Some people say, well, you know, I've been doing this for so forth and so long. Yeah, the program works, but we got to work the program. That's the math. The degree of acceptance and the degree of application of the program will determine the height of the position of those who accept that program. The highest status of position from following the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is that we become a God. If we are less than that, it's just based on our acceptance and our proper application of the program. Make sense? In Revelations, when this lamb and this dragon meet, and in Revelation when the lamb and these four beasts meet, what's interesting is that I did a little study on something called predation, which is the study of how predators are able to capture their prey and the amount of time that it takes for them to administer a successful death to their prey and devouring of their prey. And when you look at the nature of a lamb is easy picking for normal predators. Did you hear me? Under normal circumstances, if there's a lamb that is found among bears or a lamb that is found among lions, then that bear or that lion is able to devour that lamb in seconds. The only way that a lamb can survive in the midst of a beast for more than seconds is if there is an exterior force that intervenes greater than the predatorial force that's trying to get the lamb. Well, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a lamb not in the midst of one beast, but in the midst of four great beasts, and nobody ever devoured the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I submit that God is the exterior force, making sure that the predator never can get hold of the prey. All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. So Master Farad Muhammad must have more juice than England has. Master Farad Muhammad must have more juice than America has. Master Farad Muhammad must have more juice than Germany has. Master Farad Muhammad must have more juice than France has. Because they tried to get the lamb, but they were unable to get that lamb. And they have been unable to stop the representative of the lamb, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Why? Because God is with that black man. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. We were in a city not too long ago, and at the end of the lecture, whenever it was over, a brother stood up in the crowd and he asked a question. He said, "Brother, I got a question for you." He said, "Ain't you kind of scared? Talking like that?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "I mean, like, I'm talking about Homeland Security, the ATF, FBI, you know what I'm talking about." I said, "Well, in truth, there's only 4 things present when you put your mind to do something. 1 is yourself. 2 is your goal or your objective. 3 is the forces that are trying to keep you from getting to your goal. And the last is the force and power backing you up to help you achieve the goal. If we are engaged in the work of God, then we've got Master Farad Muhammad backing us up. We've got the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad backing us up. We've got the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in front of us as a supreme example. I'm saying that MLF, MHEM, and AHLF is more powerful than FBI, CIA, ATF, and they can neutralize all opposition, and we can achieve this goal. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. So the question is not whether you get scared or not. The question is, do you stay scared? And once one believes that I fear nothing or no one besides Allah, and I got the right motive, I'm doing the right thing at the right time for the right man in the right way. There ain't nothing no wrong man can do to stop the progress of me helping that black man. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. And all praise is due to Allah. That brother's in processing class right now. And we soon hope introduce him to the ranks of the FOI. In the Bible, whenever this lamb, dragon, shows up, it appears in the 12th chapter of Revelations. It reads, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered." Y'all got that right? There's a great wonder in heaven, and she's clothed in what? The sun. Standing on what? The moon. She has a crown of 12 what? Stars in her head, right? Just make sure the class is with me. Now that was the great wonder of heaven. Guess what else? Third verse says, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne." Man, there's a lot of symbolism in this. It goes on to say what happens with them and the boy in heaven. And in the 9th verse, it says that the dragon lost. And the great dragon was cast out. That old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So this Satan, this devil, this dragon, this old serpent has a staff. He's got an army. He has a cadre of people. He's got some helpers. He has some hosts. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, "Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time for the place of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. And the earth helped the woman. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandments of God and have testimony of Jesus Christ. I know you're saying, "Hither thou goest and whither thou comest." I don't know what you just got finished saying. This is why the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said in what the Muslims believe, that we believe in the Bible, but we believe in the truth of the Bible. And we believe that it must be reinterpreted, so that mankind will not be snared by the many falsehoods that have been added to it. Why? Because the writers of the scripture, the wicked-minded writers that were in cahoots with King James, they altered it from its original form. They edited it, they revised it. They changed it up, and then they put it into such a language that the common man wouldn't be able to figure it out. Why? Because there's power in the knowledge of God. And if you have a plan to make slaves out of the whole mass of the people of the earth, you can't afford for them to have slaves that they've extracted from the knowledge of God. So I've got to hide it under the language, hide it under symbolism, hide it under metaphors and similes, so the masses will not know what it's talking about. But I thank Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who are decoding the Bible and unlocking the power thereof. All praise is due to Allah. This is a whole lot of symbolism. A woman clothed in the sun, standing on the moon, crown of stars around her head. We got a dragon knocking out a third of the stars with his tail. The woman not bringing birth to an infant, she bringing birth to a man child. There's got to be some symbolism in that. Is that right? The earth swallows up the flood. Dragons, even though they're mythical figures, you don't think dragon and water coming out the mouth. You think dragon and what? Fire. But this dragon got water coming out of, it's got to mean something else. Y'all with me? The flood can't be a real flood. In fact, the flood we read about didn't even happen like we thought it did. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Noah and his ark is a sign. And the Holy Quran says the exact same thing. You could not have a flood that covered the whole planet Earth. Where do floods come from? Floods come from water. Is that right? That comes from rain. However, there's 196,940,000 square miles of land and water. 57,255,000 of that is land. 139,685,000 miles of that is water. Whenever the sun and the moon pull on the earth's waters, they draw it into our atmosphere, into a mist that the naked eye cannot even detect. And when that water becomes heavier than gravitational pull, they form what are called clouds, 6 miles above civilization. Then that water distills back to the earth. If it gets caught in a current blowing at a certain mile per hour, it might have been water poured out of the Ohio River. But based upon the wind, it can blow and land in Indiana. In other words, a flood is nothing more than the renegotiation of the earth's waters. Well, if there was only 139,685,000 square miles of water in the first place, and the moon and sun pulled it up, and the sun, 14,072 degrees, begins to put heat on that water, it's going to actually evaporate some of it. So whatever was poured up comes down in a lesser percentage than what went up. So it is impossible for the earth's waters to be poured up into the sky and then brought back down and flood the whole planet if the planet wasn't flooded in the first place. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. 2,348 BC, the man said, they say his ark was 450 feet long. And he got 2 of every kind. 2 roaches. That's it. 2 fleas. If he got 2 koala bears, where did he get the tree, the eucalyptus tree, to feed the koala bear? If he was going to get 2 silkworms, where did he get the mulberry leaves from for the silkworms to live off of? Some animals, according to the Bible, or in nature, don't exist in pairs, but they exist in colonies. Thus are ants and termites. So what do you do if ants and termites are here and only two got on? They wouldn't have survived, but they still here. No, it's a sign of something else, brothers and sisters. Don't you realize that if Noah had got two of each kind on this ship 450 feet long, two of each kind, in 1 year, or by the time he finished collecting all of the reptiles, mammals, and birds, he would have had 4,598 birds, 3,724 different reptiles, 7,524 mammals. His total animal count would have been 15,746, not even counting the insect world. And according to the Bible, there was only 8 people on the ark. 8 people on the ark trying to take care of 15,000. You got less animals than that at the zoo, and hundreds of zookeepers stressed out. It couldn't have happened like that. It couldn't have happened. And my question is, how did you keep the climate right on one part of the boat for the polar bear, and then keep the desert ready for the lizard? They say the flood lasted for a whole year. They was on the boat for a whole year. Don't you know how much mating would have taken place in a year with 16,000 animals? In 1 year of just regular mating, there would have been birds, reptiles, and mammals, 5,646,694 animals with only 8 people taking care of them. I don't think that happened like that. I think that's a sign of something else. The Bible said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man. We are living at the time of the Son of Man. The ark was a crude ship built of rusty nails and planks. There were plenty of people that had better knowledge, better equipment. But the Quran says that Noah, all you have with you are the meanest of people. I'm saying that the ark is the nation of Islam. There's plenty of engineers out there, plenty of doctors, plenty of architects, plenty of people with wealth and money. But why ain't you backing up Farrakhan? No, the street man, the street woman, the brother and sister from the mud, we join on. And we are the rusty nails and planks building salvation for the entire world. All praise is due to Allah. This is the real Noah's Ark. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Y'all with me? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has calls us to see and understand that this woman, this dragon, this man-child, these beasts, this lamb, this flood is symbolic of something not then and away, but here and what? And right now. The woman clothed in the sun, standing with the moon under her feet, with a crown of 12 stars around her head, represents the messenger of God. He has sun, he's clothed in the sun, meaning he's wrapped up in the divine light of the wisdom of God. The moon represents prophets. Why? Because just as you have in our universe the moon that appears as light at nighttime, the moon doesn't have any light of itself. It is a reflection of the light of the sun. Likewise, a prophet doesn't have any light of himself. He is a reflection of the light of God. So like sun sends light to the moon during a time of darkness to help people see, so it is when God raises up a messenger. That messenger of God comes in a time of darkness among the people to represent the light of God that the people may be able to see. So a prophet represents moonlight. This woman ain't sitting next to the moon, no. Not underneath the moon. But this woman is standing on the moon, meaning that she, or the messenger, is connected to and is the fulfillment of all of the prophecies that has ever been prophesied by any of those who are called prophets. Did y'all hear me? He has around his head a crown of 12 stars. The 12 stars, so teaches the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, represent the wise scientists of Islam. So now you have a messenger of God that is standing on the word of the prophets, but not next to or underneath. He's fulfilling what they prophesied. He's wrapped up in the divine light of the wisdom of God, so he doesn't come like they came, just reflecting the light. He is the light in and of himself. All praise is due to Allah. And he has in his head the wisdom of all the scientists of Islam. But there's a dragon that is trying to devour this woman. Why? Because she's getting ready to bring birth to a what? A man child. No one has an adult. Man represents a mature male. Man child represents the birth of a nation of people that, just like a woman, becomes the environment that Allah uses as his laboratory to take the seed of a male, marry it together with the ovum of a female, and then begin to build out of the makeup of that woman, her body and mind, a structure called a child. So it is if the nation or a man child is in the womb of a messenger. There's a seed God planted in the womb of black America. There's a seed God planted in the mind of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's a seed God planted in the mind of the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we, the nation of Islam, we are being made up in this great womb of the mind of the one that we are housed in. So this dragon, according to the scripture, spews out a flood. Y'all right? Public service announcement real quick. Can we do a public service announcement? Is it okay? Even though the woman is symbolic of the messenger of God, if we were to transpose the meaning of this woman to another regular woman, it still would work out too. Did y'all hear me? To transpose means to take principles from one location to another location without their losing any of their original potency. Well, imagine if a woman was more concerned with standing on the word of a prophet than stilettos. Imagine if our women were more concerned with being clothed in the light of the wisdom of God than they are in Gucci and Prada. Imagine if our women had the wisdom of the scientists of Islam in their head instead of being concerned with the latest hairstyle. I guarantee you then that would be a real woman that would bring birth to men and women that will rule the nations of the world with a rod of iron. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. We could even put it over on the man. What if the man was standing on the word of the prophets instead of some new Jordans? What if the man was wrapped up in the light of God instead of worried about the newest Coogee jacket? What if he had the wisdom of the scientists of Islam in his head instead of a too big New York Yankees hat on with the sticker still on it? I'm telling you, we'd have a new planet. What y'all think? Okay, that was the end of the public service announcement.